All right, what's going on, guys? Farzin Vasugian here with you for another edition of the Red Friday live chat. It is week 18, the final week of the regular season. It is still very weird to say week 18. This is the third week 18 game, right? When did they start doing week 18? I want to say this is the third time. Feels weird, man. I know. I'm looking it up right now. I have to, anytime I'm like stumped on something like this. Yeah, it is the third time. Yeah, they did it in 2021, 2022, 2023. Okay. Good to know. And as soon as the regular season is over, once the Chiefs at least finish, they should know who they're going to play. Well, I guess not quite yet. But I guess after Sunday Night Football, all of the 2024 opponents will be out. But we're not worried about that yet. Not worried about that quite yet. I don't have a whole lot to say. Obviously, this is a very quiet week because the Chiefs are playing their backups going up against the LA Chargers, albeit could be see a couple of key players, guys like Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, who are expected to get some playing time. Chris Jones, he needs just half a sack to get a $1.25 million incentive bonus. So if he can just get half a sack, because that would give him 10 on the season. He has 9.5 sacks right now. Just half a sack is all he needs. And I saw some people online saying they fear for Easton Stick's life because you pay a man $1.25 million for just half a sack, man, he will fight like hell to get that sack, 100%. So Chris Jones has that to get. And then Travis Kelce needs 16 yards to get the 1,000 receiving yard mark for the season. Should have had that a couple of weeks ago, but did not. And here we are. So the Travis Kelce one is interesting. And I've seen some people point this out. What happens if he gets hurt? Look at Brandon Staley, what he did. He put his starters out there last year. Now he did it for the full game, and they got hurt. Even if it's the first snap of the game and Travis Kelce gets hurt, man, there are going to be a lot of people who are going. Like, I can already see the narrative right now where people are going to say, is it worth it to get the stats? I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that not. I don't think, and no one wants to see injuries. But Travis Kelce, listen, I know Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco. I saw a lot of Chiefs fans say, hey, let's get all of them their 1,000 yards, because that's obviously a milestone number for rushers and receivers. Tight ends up mixing in there with receivers. But, you know, to me, it's like if you want Pacheco, Rice, and Kelce to all get their 1,000, and I know Rice and Pacheco are dealing with injuries, so they're not going to put all their guys out there. But if you could put them all out there to get their 1,000. The Chiefs offense has not, let's be honest here, even though they have moved the ball well, they have not been operating well. So to have all of those guys to get their 1,000 would probably take the entire game. So the key guys on your offense right now, like Kelce, like Pacheco, like Rice, they would not have a bye week. They would be playing an entire game against the Chargers for statistical purposes. Pacheco and Rice, they're young. Rice is a rookie. Pacheco's in his second year. Those guys will have plenty of chances to get 1,000 yards in the NFL in the future. So I have no doubt that they can do that multiple times in their careers in the future, especially Rashee Rice, the way he's picking things up with this offense right now. And he didn't play very much early on. He was on the field, don't get me wrong, but wasn't targeted as much, wasn't getting as many snaps. So he will get his opportunities. Listen, Dwayne Bowe didn't get 1,000 yards his first time. Now, I don't think Dwayne Bowe had a lot of 1,000-yard seasons in general. He only had one Pro Bowl season from what I recall, but he'll have his opportunities. Of course he will. Kelce, you know, this guy's, you know, in the waning stages of his career. I've said for a while that if the Chiefs do make it to the Super Bowl and win, he will call it. I think he calls it right there. If they don't win a Super Bowl this year, I think he comes back for at least maybe just one more year. Because given the things that he talked about in that Wall Street Journal interview about his injuries and how they're catching up to him, and I can understand. Before the season, he didn't say any of that. He said that he can keep playing for a long time, but now things are starting to pile up this year, injury wise, and obviously he has those opportunities in Hollywood. I know I talked about this earlier this year, kind of comparing him to The Rock, where The Rock was very popular in WWE, but when Hollywood came calling in and he got all these opportunities, he eventually left WWE, which is a very not friendly lifestyle for pro wrestlers, especially if you're in the biggest company in the world, WWE. And Hollywood, obviously less stress and far more money in that industry. So Travis Kelce kind of in the same boat right now. Not that, football, you're not traveling every single day like pro wrestlers do, but you at least can reduce the amount of physical stress on yourself. And still make a lot of money elsewhere. I know people keep bringing up, oh, his girlfriend is worth, this much. Yeah, but I don't recall his girlfriend's money being his, at least not yet. I mean, people always bring this whole thing on, bring this up, and it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I get everyone maybe dating at different speeds and whatnot, but I don't recall her money being his. So, anyway, I'll say this about Kelce. I think he deserves it. I'll let him. Like I'm fine with the Chiefs letting him to go get the 1,000 yards because he's given so much to this organization. Always been a team first guy. Just listen to his podcast. Anytime, like the Kadarius Toney screw ups, the Marquez Valdes-Scantling screw ups, he is always on the podcast right there, the first one to defend them and even kind of push back against fans and the media. As much as he loves the fans, still was willing to push back against them on the criticisms for some of his teammates. So that's just the type of guy he is. So, hey, why not go give him that opportunity and let him get that, because that might be the last time you see Kelce have 1,000 yards. Maybe he comes back stronger next year. If he does play next year, who knows? But you give it to him, man, because he would be in rare company if he gets 1,000 yards. It would only be 7 players total. Kelce would be one. He would be the 7th receiver to have 8 straight seasons of 1,000 receiving yards. Every year the Chiefs have won the AFC West, Kelce's had 1,000 yards receiving, assuming he gets it in this game. It's only 16 yards. You gotta assume, they draw up something that can easily get him the 16 yards. So we'll see about that. I'll get to your guys' questions in a moment. And I don't anticipate this to be a very long. I say this every Friday, but you guys always show up and kill it, and I appreciate you guys for that. By the way, for those of you who are coming in, if you don't mind, just give the video a like or whatever emoji you want to respond with. If you guys could, please do that, and that would greatly help out the live stream. No need to share it. I don't really care for that kind of stuff. I've always believed, if you put on a good put out good content, people will watch. No need to share it and spam it all over the place like some people do. But the last thing I did want to touch on was this whole Jimmy Kimmel thing with Aaron Rodgers and ESPN apologizing. Look, let me just say this. I don't want to turn this into like a conversation about, blue versus red, woke people versus, whatever. Let me start with this. Aaron Rodgers never said Jimmy Kimmel would be on this list. Now, we still have to look at this comment here because it's not a very smart comment made by Aaron Rodgers. If you're going to be talking about this subject, which I don't know why you're doing that on a show that is 99% sports. Don't get me wrong. I mean, even on this show, we sometimes talk about things that are not sports related, Chiefs related, whatever. But why is that even brought up? Why did AJ Hawk feel the need to bring up Epstein? I don't quite get that. My question for Rodgers, 2 of them actually, why mention Jimmy Kimmel's name in this context? What was the point of this? What were you trying to accomplish here? And if you're not saying he was on this list, what are you trying to insinuate? It's actually a very careless thing to do. Listen, people Jimmy Kimmel makes jokes for a living, sure. But man, you cannot be making I don't really know what the right word is here. I mean, what was he trying to suggest or insinuate? I'm not sure. but these kinds of things are never and listen, for people who say, oh, cancel culture, they're trying to cancel Pat McAfee or whoever, actions have consequences. I don't believe in the word cancel culture. I really don't. There are people who have lost their jobs for things they have said and done, rightfully so, a majority of the time. I think there are times where I think it might be out of line, but and then, by the way, I mean, who's going to fire Aaron Rodgers? No one's going to do anything on the Jets. As far as Pat McAfee, he might not do Pat McAfee shows ever again. Boo-hoo. Like, Aaron Rodgers is still making a lot of money and is doing just fine. Here's what I will say now. And as far as like the ESPN thing, they will always back their own Jimmy Kimmel before anyone else. I say that because some people don't know this. ABC and ESPN, ABC is where Jimmy Kimmel does the shows. They're all owned by Disney. Now, whether this happened on a Disney network or CBS or CBS Sports, which is owned by Viacom and Paramount, or if this is on NBC Sports, which is owned by NBC Universal and Comcast, I think that we would still be having this discussion right now, what I'm about to discuss here in this whole thing with Pat McAfee. I like Pat McAfee. I think he's very entertaining. He's funny. He's informative. He gets a lot of great guests. And I think him with his past and what he's done and the connections he has, it certainly helps. I mean, he gets Peyton Manning on his show whenever he wants. He can call up Peyton anytime, anywhere. And Peyton's obviously willing to come on because it's a big platform and they know each other very well. But I just don't know at the end of the day. And I said this very early on when this was first brought up, this whole thing with going to ESPN, because he backed out of a massive deal with FanDuel. I think it was like $120 deal through 4 years. Listen, I'm sure the ESPN opportunity is massive and probably paid more, but there is such thing as, taking less money for better opportunities. What I'm saying is, not that another person was offering him anything, but to put your show, which is essentially independent, kind of like mine is, not that I'm as big as McAfee, not even close to it, but you have a lot of freedom. You don't have a boss telling you what to do. Oh my God, Pat, you said this. No, don't ever say that again. No, this is his own brand, his own show. He can do whatever he wants. But then he goes to ESPN, and anybody that didn't see this coming, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this was a bad marriage from the start. Everyone knew it was going to. Everyone saw the car crash coming, and Pat McAfee. I mean, his podcast. I don't know what you call it, a podcast, a YouTube show. It's different compared to local radio. If you turn on 810 or 610, guys on there cannot cuss. And, because they're owned by a corporation, they have to follow certain guidelines. They can't, if Soren Petro says something, or if Nick Wright over at Fox Sports, he used to be at 610, if he says something, well, their bosses are going to tell them something. McAfee on his own program, as he likes to call it, he has the freedom to do whatever. Creative freedom is such a huge deal. So he gave that up to ESPN, which was a stupid move. Listen, all the things he was doing with ESPN, such as the college game day stuff and the McAfee broadcast for some of the college football games, which I think are awesome and entertaining. I love it. I really do. But to put his own show on ESPN, and I know not the entire show is on there. It's only like half of it or 2 hours of it. I don't know exactly. I think he gave up a lot of creative freedom. A lot of things that he's able to do on his own, because he even acknowledged this because of the cursing. They have to tone it down because the TV's on at schools and nursing or doctor's offices, waiting rooms. And those are places where, you have to maybe not use as much language. So, I just don't know why you would give all that up for more money when you're already making a lot of money. So, that's on him, though. And I was not sure if you guys had any comments on that, and I'd love to read your guys' comments. With that said, speaking of comments, I'm going to get to your comments right now. So please, if you have any questions, comments, let me know. By the way, one last thing. This is a story that I honestly do not give a damn about. So the Chiefs, I completely forgot to bring this up. I'll do this real quickly and I'll get your comments. I promise. The Chiefs and Royals made a joint statement that they will remain in Jackson County if Jackson County voters approve an extension of 3/8 of a cent sales tax increase on the ballot in April. The Royals are like team downtown. We want to be downtown. And the Chiefs, they have not. I know Clark Hunt did a press conference earlier this year and was asked about some stuff, and he was more in favor of renovations than building a new stadium. I don't really agree. Because listen, if you're going to do it, let's do it right. And I know the flyover is a big part of the stadium. If you can have a retractable roof, that would be huge. Because at the end of the day, when you see a lot of these teams, these NFL teams getting brand new stadiums, what's the goal here? They want to get Super Bowls. They want to get Final Fours. They want to get these massive concerts from big name singers. Listen, I've never been to a concert at Arrowhead, and I have zero interest in doing so. Listen, I'm sure all these popular singers who do go to Arrowhead, I know Taylor Swift was a huge deal. She did it back-to-back nights, and she's done that at a lot of stadiums. But who the hell? I cannot imagine anyone going to a concert at Arrowhead in July or August. I was about to say who the hell would do that, but obviously a lot of people did. Not me, man. I can't do that. That is just way too damn much, in my opinion. The heat, no way. So if you have an indoor stadium, and I know you're not going to have probably as many seats unless you make it as big as Jerry's World. Now, if it's as big, can you make it a retractable roof? I don't know. That's for the architects to be able to figure out. But you want to do it right. At the end of the day, if you're doing renovations at Arrowhead, what are you going to renovate exactly? Because they did this roughly, 20 years ago? 15 years ago, rather. And I think the renovations look good. They have the skybox and everything. And it looks nice. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to renovate. I think a new stadium would be better because you could have all of these things that I mentioned and more, perhaps. I know the Raiders Stadium in Vegas, and I know Vegas is like a destination spot for a lot of tourists, so that definitely helps. But Allegiant Stadium is used for a lot of great events. Not all of them sports related either. So that's what I think would be good if you had a new stadium. Yes, it's going to cost a pretty penny, but hey, I don't think Clark Hunt would have any issues putting money up, right? Wink, wink. We all know these owners don't give a damn about putting up money. They want everyone else to pay for their own money. Like Clark Hunt, even though the Chiefs do not own Arrowhead, some people don't know this. The Hunt family actually has like a house inside Arrowhead Stadium. It is very well secured. But it is indeed like that. They can stay there. They can stay the night if they need to. They've got beds, it's a kitchen, all that stuff, almost like a home. So, if you're going to put your own like second or third home in there, come on, you can put some money up there. I'll let you guys ask about that if you guys care. I keep seeing all these updates about Mayor Q putting out a release and then Frank White. And honestly, man, I just don't care. Maybe you guys do. And if you guys do, then hey, let's discuss it. All right, Len, you are starting off here. Do you think they are going to get Travis Kelce in to get a 16? Yes, I do. Kind of for the reasons I brought up earlier. He's done so much for the franchise. He's meant a lot. He has played more playoff games than any other Chief in team history. He has, by the way, people don't realize this. Not only is he chasing the 1,000 yards, he is second in NFL history in receptions in the playoffs, in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and 100-yard receiving games. Only person, obviously, with more is Jerry Rice. So I think they really want to give him these numbers as much as they can before he's done and calls it a career. Will the Bills beat Miami? Yes. Miami, even if Miami was at full strength, which they're not right now with a lot of injuries, Miami's just done bad against teams with a winning record. Yeah, they beat the Cowboys, and they deserve credit for that. But overall body of work against teams with a winning record, not good. I still remember, man, when the Chiefs lost to the Broncos, their next game was the Dolphins. And everybody outside of Kansas City was just, spewing out, the Chiefs lost to the Broncos, the same team that gave up 70 to Miami. Oh, the Chiefs are playing the Dolphins. Dolphins are going to score a lot of points on them. Well, who won the game? The Chiefs. Miami scored 14 points. One touchdown was kind of a gimme one because Chris Jones did something he shouldn't have done after a third down stop, which is kind of what he did in that Colts game. And anyway, Miami just has not been good against teams with a winning record. Buffalo, is Buffalo perfect right now? No. They have been getting hot lately, but the inconsistencies with Josh Allen, I don't know, man. I keep going back and forth whether I would want KC to go to Buffalo because it's cold, but listen, the Ravens are probably going to win their divisional round game because they got the number 1 seed. So you're going to have to go up north again to face a cold weather team on the road in the cold. Going to have to do it probably multiple times. So honestly, man, with this Chiefs defense, and if the Chiefs offense can pick it up, just Rich Eisen said it yesterday, just catch the damn ball. If you can do that, Buffalo is a very beatable team. I know there's a lot of ifs in there, especially with the catching. But it's doable, man. Why are we still playing MVS? Who are we going to play right now, Joe? Sky Moore's on IR. Kadarius Toney's hurt. I mean, who are your options? Justin Ross supposedly is not picking up the offense. I know Blaine Gabbert gave him some praise, but it's not his job to bring up negativities about his teammates. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like you don't have anyone else right now. You just don't. You really don't. Eric says Mike Evans with 10 in a row as a receiver. Man, it would be nice to have him. Yeah, Mike Evans has played really, really well. And I don't think Mike Evans gets the amount of attention that a lot of other wide receivers get. And I don't know why that is. Even like when the Bucks won the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, to me, it's like, well, Mike Evans still, and I don't know if it's because he was surrounded by AB and Gronk and Brady, but man, the guy just does not get the love he truly deserves. I just feel like he's not talked about as often as some of the other top tier wide receivers we've seen today and in recent history. What's up, Christopher? Can you elaborate more about Mahomes' injury designation for us, please? Okay, so he's been dealing with an ankle injury, but was practicing earlier in the week. Now, and let me pull up the injury report just so I have it correct. Because the Chiefs and Chargers both have a long injury report. Dolphins have a really long injury report, if you guys have seen that yet. So Patrick Mahomes was a full participant every single day in practice this week, so it is not a concern whatsoever. The doubtful game designation, I don't even know why it says doubtful. He's not playing. He's just not. He might suit up and be part of the active roster for game day, but he's not playing. They will put Blake Bell in at quarterback before they put Patrick Mahomes for this game, 100%. And if for whatever reason they don't, and if they put Patrick in there, all Patrick is going to do is hand off the football. They're not going to do anything to risk him for a meaningless game. Not at all. And no disrespect to all of these backups that are playing. It's just there's not much going on right now for the Chiefs, really. The Chargers, they're just trying to, look good before the season ends for them. You can't keep Chris Jones off the field this week. Why not, bud? I mean, he's to me, it's like, I get it. You have these incentives. So go play one quarter. Okay. If you can't get it, too bad. You're done. You had your chance. You didn't play in week 1 for obvious reasons. But we're going to give you a chance. We're going to give you 15 minutes to do something. So if you can't get it against a injury-riddled backup Chargers team, then too bad. We're done with you. We need you for the playoffs. That's like ESPN asking to post someone's TikToks, then not tagging them or giving them credit of the clip. McAfee going to ESPN, I knew it was a bad decision. Why wouldn't you want to stay with your own rules? Yeah, this is what I'm saying, man. I'm not going to go into the details right now, but I was reached out by a media outlet during the season. And again, with respect to everyone involved, I don't want to say names or go into details, but they did ask if I would be interested in doing something for them. Now, right away in my mind, I'm like, no, but I was still willing to hear them out. But at the end of the day, it's like, it wouldn't make sense. What I'm doing, I have a lot of creative freedom. I enjoy what I'm doing. And, media in general doesn't pay much. So it would not be a smart move it would not be good. You would be under a lot of, you would be under control. Okay. Someone would have to boss you around, tell you what you can do and not do. If you do something they don't like, they're going to speak up on it. It's like, no, I got my own show here. I'm happy with the way I do it. I can kind of do it whenever I want. Some of you guys are video gamers. Eric, I know you're a video gamer. If you guys are familiar with Twitch, essentially a big part of Twitch is video gamers who live stream and people watch them. And those who have a massive following, they actually make money while they live stream. Well, a lot of these Twitch users, they try to keep up with a very consistent schedule, but if for whatever reason they want to change things up, they have the freedom to do so. If someone has a massive show on YouTube that has lots of viewers, obviously that person's making a lot of money. If they want to change when they do a show, they can do it whenever they desire. They can make a change within a moment's notice. They don't have to report to a boss. Again, I'm sure the ESPN opportunity was cool, but how cool, the creative control thing was just, I don't know. But that's what happens. People get blinded by money. I actually did some research back when McAfee was doing this whole ESPN thing when it got started. I was talking about this with my mom, and she follows someone on Instagram who does like the target audience is women. So obviously it's not something that a lot of guys would be interested in. But this content creator on Instagram does a lot with like makeups and outfits. And so what happened was somebody wanted to partner with her and use a lot of her content, and she agreed to it. But then when she realized she was being used, she wanted to back out, but she didn't read all the, fine print in the contract, and they essentially owned her. They owned her Instagram account. They owned everything about her. And listen, I'm sure Pat McAfee and his attorneys, I'm sure they made sure that he has full ownership of the show if for whatever reason they want to get a divorce, but it's still not a situation you ever want to find yourself in. Just not at all. Royals and Chiefs don't need to move anywhere. Maybe a new stadium for each. Atlanta built a new stadium in the parking lot and tore down the old one, and it became the parking lot. Well, the problem is you can't build a stadium in an off season. Obviously, like when is the down period for the Chiefs and Royals at the same time? Well, from February on to April, maybe late March, nobody's using the Truman Sports Complex. And obviously you cannot build a stadium in that fast of a time period. So, you got to figure out what you're going to do. I know the Chiefs and Royals, their stadiums were under construction when they were renovating, but renovating in a new stadium is a totally different deal. I mean, the Royals, if they want new stadiums, it's got to be elsewhere. I know the Royals love the downtown thing. The Chiefs are just happy with where they are. So, yeah, I don't know. Christopher said, oh, you guys are definitely interested in the subject. Christopher says, I vote new stadium. Jealous of all these new stadiums. Even the Clippers getting one. They ain't one-ish. Listen, I have not been to a lot of like away arenas and stadiums. I've been to the Vegas Golden Knights arena. It is a great arena. It really is. And I think the T-Mobile Center in downtown KC, I think that's a fantastic arena too. And by the way, that's fairly new. It opened in 2007, I think, broke ground in 2005, finished and opened in 2007. That's not something that, even though it's almost 18 years old, it's still fairly new in general. There was an NBA scout at one of the Big 12, I think one of the Big 12 games last year, who was actually surprised that the arena does not have an NBA tenant because that arena is better than a lot of arenas in the country, according to that scout. So, this is something that that is still being discussed to this day, but I don't think anyone's seriously anticipating a team in the I keep wanting to say the Sprint Center, T-Mobile Center in the near future, but who knows? We'll see. But Allegiant Stadium, man, I'll tell you now, I've been there twice. Went there for a concert last year, or technically 2 years ago now, and then went to the Chiefs Raiders game a couple months ago. It is a great stadium. It really is. I'll give it to Raiders fans. You guys got a beautiful stadium. It's an awesome stadium. And I think, if you're the Chiefs, you need to visit these stadiums like Allegiant and AT&T Bank Stadium and all these other new stadiums, SoFi, and see what you can learn from these stadiums and try to do it better, right? Listen, it's almost like the NFL. When you see someone run a trick play, okay, well, run that same play, but do it better. Find a way to make it better. If you're going to build a new stadium, learn from all these other new stadiums, but whatever they did, do some of it the same, but do some of the other stuff better. That's what I hope the Chiefs do. And listen, Clark Hunt should not have any issues putting up money for this kind of thing. Listen, when you walk through like the concourses at Arrowhead, it's just, it's old. It really is. Don't get me wrong, the environment is great. And, no matter where you go, I think the environment and the fans are going to be still the same. By the way, I'll just say this right now. If I had to put money, the Chiefs are not moving from where they are. I think they're going to stay where they are with the stadium they have. But I am seeing people who are like, oh, if they move to Kansas, I'm never going to be a fan again. Just for the sake of those people, I want the Chiefs to move to Kansas just to see if those people will really live up to their word. I mean, assuming the Chiefs continue to win as many games as they do, I know this year not as much, but still, 10 wins, maybe 11. You're really going to not follow the team anymore because they moved state lines a few miles away. Come on, it's dumb. Too much money on the line for Chris Jones. Yeah, but you gotta play that first week. He was there. He was right there. He was right there. Gwen says that list you posted with players out, doubtful, and questionable. Travis wasn't listed. Does that mean he is in? Yes. Oh, okay. Well, he's not injured. He's available. He's fully available. He did not have an injury designation. Now, let me just double check. He was limited in practice every day, but he does not have a game status designation. Now, when he was limited, that probably means that as a starter, they did not use him as much in practice this week. But he does not have a game status designation. He doesn't. Whereas Rashee Rice, L'Jarius Sneed, Kadarius Toney, and Donovan Smith are all out, probably because they want to save them for the postseason, rather. Because those guys didn't even really practice this week. They didn't. Only Donovan Smith did, and that was on Wednesday. Kadarius Toney was limited on Wednesday, but didn't practice the next 2 days. Yeah, like Kadarius Toney not practicing and not playing, I don't think that's anything to read into because the Chiefs are not going to use their key players anyway. Not that KT is a key player, but you know what I mean. All right, I'll read a couple more here and get out of here. Rochelle says, I worked at Kemper Arena when we had the Kansas City Kings. Oh, wow. Very cool. Yeah, Kemper. Listen, like when you look at Kemper Arena, and I think this was even brought up on ESPN, they called the place a dump because it was a very, very old arena. Let me just see, when did Kemper Arena open? Kemper Arena Wiki. It's down called Hy-Vee Arena. My bad. It opened in 1974. So, 1974. And they renovated a couple of times. But yeah, it was time to move on from there and go downtown. And I think Kansas City and, everyone involved in the decision making to move the new arena downtown, they hit a home run with it. Because understand this, like, let's say you're going to a basketball game. Obviously, we have KU, K-State, Mizzou. They all play basketball games there. KU and K-State play at least one Big 12 tournament game there downtown every year. And then, every other year you have the NCAA regionals that take either the regionals or the first couple of opening rounds. And right across the street, what do you have? You have the Power and Light District. Well, whether it's a basketball game, a sporting event, a concert, whatever it is you're going to at, I said Sprint Center, didn't I? T-Mobile Arena. Well, what do a lot of people do? They hang out at PNL before going there. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are a lot of arenas in this country and even in this world that are right next to kind of like a district like PNL. But the way PNL is just designed and shaped, it just makes it perfect. It is literally just a walk across the street. So if you want to go to McFadden's or the Pizza Bar or Johnny's, any of these other like places they have, there's a lot of places to eat and drink at PNL. When you're done and you're ready to go to your event, just walk across the street. That's it. That's what makes the way that arena works, the way how good it is, because of how they built it, how they designed everything, and right across the street. Good parking too, right underneath the Power and Light District. There's a lot of parking adjacent from the arena. There's a parking garage, so they did it well. So if the Royals and the Chiefs are going to also make changes, do it right. I think Sporting Kansas City did a good job with what they did when they left Arrowhead and wanted to be on their own. They picked the Legends area. That's a perfect place to go. A lot of people, they want to eat and drink at the Legends area. After that, come on over to the game or do the same thing afterwards. I don't know how many people after like a game or a concert, I guess it would depend on what time those events start, would go back to PNL afterwards. Me personally, I would be too damn tired. I just want to get out of there. But I guess depending on the time of day, if it's not too late at night, people would probably be willing to go to the PNL district after their event at the arena. Yeah, the Colts have a dome, Michelle. We deserve a new stadium. Our field crew is awesome. It would be worth it while it being well managed and taken care of. Yeah, that's the one important thing. Like, as much as I keep praising the Raider Stadium, their field is shit. Their field is complete dog shit, man. You saw it last year. I don't know how it looked on TV when the Chiefs went there this past season, but like, okay, we don't like the Raiders, but they do have that classic, logo, the shield, the black and silver. Dude, it looks like shit on the field. And then right in front of the end zones, like at the 2-yard line, you have like dead grass on there. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can let that happen for an indoor stadium. The Chiefs, yeah, you're right, Eric. They are always tabbed as one of the best grounds crew units in the NFL. And they've always done a really, really good job. And listen, Arrowhead, I think, is like the third or fourth oldest stadium in the NFL, too. So to have a stadium that old and to take care of it as much as they have is awesome to see. That is good to see. And, you definitely want to make sure if you do go to a new stadium, that is going to be priority number one. Because look at Arizona. The Chiefs played there twice last year. In week 1, Butker slipped and hurt his ankle. A lot of people were blaming the field for that. And then back in Super Bowl 50, what Super Bowl did it win? 57? We've been to too many Super Bowls lately, guys. I'm sorry. For Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs knew what they were going up against. And the Eagles, they complained about the field after the game. They weren't complaining in the first half when they were up by 10. But they complained afterwards when they lost and blew the 10-point lead, which is funny because that field, they did change the field for the Super Bowl. That field is the same field they use at home games for the Eagles, which I find interesting that they complain about that. But so it's still brought up to this day. Like, come on, it was almost a year ago. Met Hank Stram when I worked there. Nice. Paul McCartney, Wings concert. Okay. Man, I have not, Rochelle, I don't know when you stopped working there. The last time I went there was in 2015. My brother graduated from high school, and his high school did their graduation ceremony there. My high school, which is in the same district, we didn't go to the same high school, but it's in the same school district. In 2009, I graduated, and we did our ceremony there. So those were the last 2 times I've been to Kemper Arena. Now it's Hy-Vee Arena. Before high school graduation, the last time I went there was for WWE New Year's Revolution. If you guys saw that was the night where Triple H tore his ACL. And this was like at a time when iPhones were still like fairly new, but people weren't using them to take as many pictures. And you were in high school, you stopped working in 1970s. Okay, all right, understandable, makes sense. Yeah, I was there in 07 for WWE New Year's resolution, which I think was almost, 17 years ago to this date, almost. And for whatever reason, anytime someone was on the phone talking to like whoever, the usher in my section would walk up to them. It was like yelling at them, like, hey, put your phone away. Like, Jesus Christ, why are you yelling at people? Like, how bad must your life be that you're yelling at people to get off their phones? And I immediately went online and went to like a WWE message board. And I was asking, I'm like, hey, is this common at WWE pay-per-views? And everyone's like, no. And they were all shocked when I brought this up. So it's like, good Lord. I think that's like the last WWE event I went to. Oh, no, I went to a Raw event in 09. The night where Randy Orton kissed Stephanie McMahon. Which is funny because that is like the most viewed clip on WWE's YouTube page. I don't know why, but it is. Stephanie says if a new stadium was built in Kansas, it would be a lot easier to access. Depends where in Kansas. The Legends area, like kind of where Hollywood Casino is, there's a lot of open space there. Now, I don't know how much of it Hollywood Casino owns. They can build a great parking lot in that area if they do it right. Again, I'm not an architect, so but with common knowledge, you would think that's like the only viable place. I don't think Arrowhead is that bad. I think their traffic coordination is pretty shitty, but that's a topic for another time. I mean, listen, the thing that makes Arrowhead and Kaufman work as well as they do is that they have a massive parking lot. They really do. And people are able to, for baseball, it's a little easier because it's almost as half as many for Chiefs games, but people are able to get in and out pretty quickly, especially when the Royals are bad. I mean, God knows there's no traffic outside of 2014 and 2015 and some of 2016, I guess. I used to work for the Royals for 5 seasons. And my first year was 2015, the year they were coming off the World Series loss, and they went on to win the World Series that first year I was working there. It was crazy to get in and out of, especially on a Monday. And then I remember in 2017 and 2018 and 2019, obviously I would leave like 5 or 10 minutes after everybody else because we did post-game stuff and whatever. It didn't take very long, but man, I would just get in my car. I was out of that parking lot within a couple of minutes. Did not take very long. Good times indeed. I wish they could get a new stadium with a dome. See, that would be cool. That would be really cool. Allegiant Stadium in a dome, especially, at that time of year. It wasn't freezing, but it wasn't warm weather either. It was just perfect. Being in there, you could take off your coat, enjoy yourself, and enjoy the game. Again, obviously the Raiders want to make the stadium a priority for the games, but if the Raiders are like on the road for 3 weeks, which does happen occasionally in the NFL, they can book an event while they're there. Put the stadium to good use and make some money while your team's on the road for a couple of weeks. The Chiefs could do something similar. Now, again, Kansas City, again, it's not a hot destination like Vegas, but it is in the heart of America, so you could definitely use that as some sort of like a selling point. Hey, we've got this brand new stadium, it's covered, got a dome, you can do big events here. So which would be a good selling point for sure. Would be very enticing. The Rock came back on Raw and said he wanted to sit at the head of the. Yeah, okay. You want to know what's funny about that whole thing? I'm watching that. It was Jinder Mahal. I don't know who Jinder Mahal is, but I saw the crowd reaction. They're like, "Oh, it's him," because WWE was teasing a former champion was coming back, and right away I'm like, "Okay, obviously." The way they set up the camera angle, they showed the crowd when the music hit. So they wanted to show the disappointing reaction. And I'm like, The Rock is coming. I knew The Rock was coming. And then when he was doing he said, San Diego, I'm going to go get something to eat. Should I sit at a booth or should I sit at a bar? And he starts laughing. I'm like, is he stalling? Like, what is he doing? What is he trying to say? And then he goes, or should I sit at the head of the table? I'm like, oh, okay. SmackDown's on right now. I'm very curious to know if they address that. Because when The Rock came back in 2013 to face CM Punk, I was watching. And then when he left, I kind of stepped away from wrestling. Wrestling, like, I would always follow it for like Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. And then after that, I was done. Last year for Raw 30, I was watching. And then that segment they did with Sami Zayn, I had no idea who Sami Zayn was. That was interesting to me. And so I watched the Royal Rumble 6 days later, and I was just hooked. I'm like, I got to keep watching this. And I've got to say, the WWE product has actually been fun to watch. I don't watch everything. Like, there are a lot of people who I still don't know, and I'm not interested in them, so I'll fast forward through a lot of the stuff. But Sami Zayn, who I don't know if he's injured for real or not, the Judgment Day, the Bloodline, that Bloodline storyline was awesome. I think it dragged on for a little too long. LA Knight has been a lot of fun to watch. Randy Orton's back. CM Punk is back. It's kind of been a fun time to get back into wrestling. So I have definitely enjoyed kind of getting back into wrestling in the last 12 months. So didn't think I would really get back into it again, but here I am. I would love for them to stay where they are, tear down the Royal Stadium and expand Arrowhead. Yeah, I've seen some people say that. Some people have also brought up turning the Royal Stadium into like a kind of like a district like the Legends or PNL. Yeah, but who would go there? Because understand this, where the Truman Sports Complex is located, it literally is in the middle of nowhere. Like, someone tell me, what is the closest thing to that site? Hold on. I'm Googling Google Maps Arrowhead. I suppose I could have just done it on my phone, because for whatever reason, this is a very difficult. Okay, there's Arrowhead. What is like the closest thing to Arrowhead and Kaufman? I mean, maybe Worlds of Fun. How far is Worlds of Fun? I apologize, guys. I'm a South KC guy, so I'm not too familiar with that area. But what is like nearby there? I mean, how far is that Independence Mall? I mean, there really isn't much like in the nearby area within like a couple of miles. And I'm not like saying anything bad about Independence or Lee Summit, that area. I'm just saying, like, within like the next couple of minutes, what do you have nearby? So here's my point. If you do put a district where Kaufman is, I'm not saying you said that, Rochelle, but other people have been saying it. Who's going to go there? Because it's not in a fun spot. It's not in much of a great spot. When I was a senior in high school, I interned for Metro Sports, which I think is called Spectrum Sports. They've changed their names multiple times over the years. And so I would make that drive a couple times a week as a high school student, which sucked. But I was kind of familiar with, 435 and everything. And I'm just like, man, this is such a boring ass highway. Like, I can't imagine like people going there consistently for something important, because there wasn't much to do there. SoFi or Allegiant? I've not been to SoFi, so I can't say, but they both look great. SoFi looks beautiful. I know people make fun of Allegiant Stadium because it looks like a Roomba. I think it looks cool. I guess I shouldn't admit to this, especially on a Red Friday live chat. I like the colors black and silver. I'm sorry. I think the Raider Stadium looks great. And it's right there on the corner of the strip, so it's in a very convenient spot. But SoFi, I don't know much about. All the aerial view shots, whenever there's a Chargers or a Rams game, look great. But I don't know what's nearby in that area, so and I've never been inside it, so I can't really say for sure. I know WrestleMania, while we were just talking about wrestling, I know WrestleMania was there last year. So where is WrestleMania going to be at this year? Is it Philadelphia? Because they don't have an indoor stadium. And I don't know what the weather's like in early April or whatever WrestleMania is. So Dome for the Chiefs, man, that would be very loud, much louder than it already is. It would be awesome. Yes. Elway would go to the refs again. Yeah, Elway retired. A good time. Last comment here goes to you, Rochelle. I've seen Allegiant Stadium. It looks good, but SoFi, from what I've seen on TV, looks nice. Yeah, kind of what I was just saying. Like, it does look really, really nice. I've seen some YouTube videos of like people who've gone to Allegiant Stadium, and what you see on YouTube or TV, it's just easier and better in person, but still looks really nice. And you can tell through TV that Allegiant Stadium, they did it right. SoFi Stadium looks like they did it right. In my opinion, I think Allegiant Stadium, they hit a home run with it. I know the UFC has kind of flirted with the idea of doing a UFC event in Allegiant Stadium. If you're going to do that, you need to get all of your biggest stars that night, because if you want to pack the house for an NFL stadium, at an NFL stadium for a UFC event, rather, you gotta bring the best of the best from your roster, which for the UFC has not been great lately. But hey, it's doable. It's definitely doable. All right, guys, this was a shorter edition of the Red Friday live chat. No, not as short as I thought it would be, but still covered some ground here. We definitely we talked about the stadium more than I think a lot of people anticipated. I know there's a lot of economic factors that go with it and the architectural stuff, and I gotta be honest, man, I'm not gonna pretend like I know that stuff, because I really don't. Here's my last thing I'll say about that is Clark Hunt can put up a lot of money for it. He has the money for it. Do I think the taxpayer should help out as well? Yes, but you're the damn owner. You got a lot of money. You've been making a lot of money these past few years, even with the COVID year. I'm sure he lost a lot of money that year, but you know what? The Chiefs keep hosting the AFC title game every year. Probably not this year. You've been making a lot of money, so you can put up some money for the new stadium. Whatever you do, just do it right, because it's going to cost a lot of money. Don't do renovations just to say, hey, we changed the stadium. Here's how it looks. We did something. It's going to cost a lot of money, so do it right. Okay, guys, my name is Farzi Vasugian. Thank you guys for downloading and listening, or not downloading and listening, but watching the Red Friday live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. If you haven't already, check out the Chiefs Zone podcast from this week. Wednesday, we obviously previewed the game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. And then on Tuesday, we had Mike DeVito, former Chiefs defensive end, on. So if you haven't had a chance to do so, please check out that podcast. All right, guys, thank you again. Good night to all of you. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I am out. Peace.